Hello, guys, I'm Abby, and I'm here to educate you about the substance abusing. And I'm going to tackle about the 10 reasons for abusing drugs, the commonly the commonly signs of drug abusers, and lastly the classifications of drug abusers. So first is what is drugs? Drugs are the chemicals that affects the person in such a way to bring about the psychological, emotional, and behavioral change. Dangerous drugs have high tendency for abuse and tendency. These substances may be organic or synthetic and pose harm to those who use them. Common signs of drugs. The profile of a drug dependent or a substance abusers can have these signs. It changes in attendance in school or its work. Changes in normal capabilities in school or work. Abrupt changes in overall attitude. Generally lazy, irritable, discourteous, and aggressive, untrustworthy and lacks self-confidence, manipulative, has a distorted view of reality, low frustration tolerance, can't play your game, it has lacks interest in his study or work. It blames everybody but himself. It doesn't have respect from the right of others. Prefer to stay with peers. May frequently to go odd places. Poor physical appearance. There are unconcerned with grooming or their hygiene. Wearing of sunglasses in an appropriate time. Unusual effort to cover their arms, like long sleeve clothes to cover the needle marks. Stealing items which can be readily sold. Unusual borrowing of money from family and friends. And lastly, it is association with known drug users. Substance abusers can be classified according to the frequency of their substance use. Experimenters, those people who abuse the drugs for experimental basis. Second is occasional users. It abuse drug occasionally or whenever there are special occasion. They abuse drugs once to 2 weeks to 2 times a week. Third is regular users. It abuse drugs from regular basis, approximately 3 to 4 times a week or every other day. Fourth is drug dependence, those people who tend to abuse drugs almost every day, 5 to 7 times a week. Fifth is mentally ill chemical abusers or substance-induced psychosis. It is the drug abusers who manifest signs of psychotic disorder caused by effects of drugs like hallucinations, disorientations, delusions, and etc. In an article from a Recovery Connection, it listed 10 reasons why people use drugs. It explains that there are circumstances that put a person to choose between properly using drugs or abusing it. So here are the reasons. First is experimenting. It is not uncommon for addiction to stem from a person being curious and experimenting drugs and alcohol. It is a scenario that starts with a young person using drugs or alcohol out of curiosity. While it seems harmless, adolescents that experiment with drugs and alcohol are more likely to develop substance use disorder, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Second, family history or genetics. If you have a family history of drug addiction, you may have a genetic predisposition to develop an addiction to drugs and alcohol. It states that it has 30% to 70% of a person's risk for addiction to the genes they are born with, along with other social factors. Third, prescription drugs. There is a popular misconception that any medication prescribed by a doctor is safe. Unfortunately, it's not always the case. The doctors prescribe medication to alleviate symptoms of physical and mental health issues. However, many individuals are not properly educated on the risk of the medications may carry. Chronic pain is often managed through opioid medications, which are highly addictive, dependent upon the amount used and other factors. Someone may require a medical detox. It used to stop using opioids. Likewise, those suffering from anxiety, depression, and may be prescribed by depressions may be prescribed addictive medications to ease symptoms. Non-addictive medications or pain recovery services are often available. Fourth, loneliness. Addiction starts when an individual feels lonely or it is isolated from friends and family. They turn to drugs and alcohol thinking that it will fill a void that they have been living with. People lacking of daily interactions may be use substances to feel happy or to feel content. Additionally, users begin to alienate themselves further if they fear being judged or that help is not available. Fifth, peer pressure. Peer pressure is usually applies to adolescents or to the young adults. They need to fit in some level. It is built to each and every one of us. Some people may feel in to participate in potentially harmful activities to do so. The pressure being around for those who are abusing drugs or alcohol can push someone to do the same suit. Sixth, drugs and alcohol can make you feel good. There is a popular quote in the big book of Alcohol Anonymous that states men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. While this seems obvious, some people like the effect so much that they are unable to stop. It may be it may be difficult to see the harm on something that makes you feel good. Seventh, mental health disorder. Depression, anxiety, and PTSD can put individuals at higher risk of developing addiction. Using substances to cope with difficult feelings may seem like an easier path for some, though they may seem crippling at times. There is help available to anyone struggling with a mental health disorder. Non-narcotic medications are often available for most mental health disorders. 8. Recreation. Many people use drugs or alcohol socially with friends to unwind after a long day. They often see substances for a way to relax or to clear their minds. Recreational drug users are still at risk to become addicted if their use becomes more frequent, or they use a highly addictive substances. 9. Alcohol isn't enough. For some, alcohol stops doing the trick. A few beers after work or having drinks with friends at a local bar just doesn't have the same effect that it used to be. Some individuals end up chasing a buzz that they were once to attain for a few drinks. This can leave someone powerless over alcohol or unable to quit drinking. This one is self-medicating. People struggling with any of a multitude of ailments may turn to drugs or alcohol to ease their pain. Mental health disorders and chronic pain are seeking solutions on their own. Alcohol or other substances can alleviate symptoms and seems like a short-term solutions. However, people should look for manageable long-term solution under medical supervisions to combat these issues.